Dallas Cowboys. Now, the Dallas Cowboys are expected to part ways with longtime head coach Jason Garrett. Now, this was reported by several outlets that Jason Garrett is most likely done. He finished the 2019 season with the 8-8 record, which was very disappointing because a lot of Dallas Cowboys fans had expectations of making it to the playoffs and making a deep playoff run and potentially making it to the Super Bowl. And season was a disappointment. Dallas Cowboys finished second in the division, and Jason Garrett ends his coaching tenure with the Dallas Cowboys with an 85-67 record, 85 wins, 67 losses. And the Dallas Cowboys front office had a couple of meetings with Jason Garrett. The most recent meeting that they had with Jason Garrett was on Tuesday afternoon, and they were supposed to have one more meeting, which was supposed to take place yesterday, January the 2nd, but the meeting never happened. So pretty much Jason Garrett's time as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys is finished. Now, the Dallas Cowboys were trying to find another role that Jason Garrett could have within the Dallas Cowboys organization, but I guess that never really worked out. So Jason Garrett is pretty much done with the Dallas Cowboys. His contract will expire January 14th. Now, a lot of people keep saying that he's getting fired. He's not getting fired. His contract is expiring. So I really get tired of people saying that Jason Garrett is getting fired. He's not getting fired. The Dallas Cowboys are letting his contract expire. So really, they're just choosing not to re-sign Jason Garrett. They're not really firing him. So CBS Sportsline released their odds of who they feel will be the next head coach for the Dallas Cowboys. And the names that they have on these odds are really interesting. So Urban Meyer is obviously the favorite. Then behind him, you have Lincoln Riley. Then behind Lincoln Riley and Urban Meyer, this is really interesting. You have Florida head coach, former Mississippi State head coach, Dan Mullen. Then you got offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens, Greg Roman. You got Matt Rule, Mike Zimmer. Then you have other coaches, former Washington coach Chris Peterson, Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy, and Dallas Cowboys defensive passing game coordinator Chris Richard. Now, when we look at some of these names that the CBS Sportsline had mentioned, Urban Meyer is pretty much the favorite. He's been the person who a lot of people have been talking about since Jason Garrett's future in Dallas was in question a couple of weeks ago. And a lot of people really like Urban Meyer because of the offense that he brings. He has that spread offense. And he had a lot of success as the head coach for the Florida Gators and the Ohio State Buckeyes. So bringing in Urban Meyer would be a very good hire for the Dallas Cowboys, in my opinion, due to how good he is when it comes to managing the offensive side of the ball. And then also who is the guy who I really want the Dallas Cowboys to hire. I want them to hire Lincoln Riley. He comes behind Urban Meyer as the second favorite for the Dallas Cowboys to hire. And I really like Lincoln Riley. I like Lincoln Riley because he brings in this air raid offense, but it's also an air raid offense that he also can run the football in. And I really like Lincoln Riley more than I like Urban Meyer. I think both of these two guys would be pretty good candidates to be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, and both those guys could have a lot of success. But I really like Lincoln Riley due to the success that he's had with his offense in Oklahoma, and also the various quarterbacks who he has gotten into the NFL. And the quarterbacks who he's gotten into the NFL have been really unlikely. I mean, you got to look at Kyler Murray, undersized but really athletic quarterback, also very accurate in the pocket. He ran that air raid offense to perfection. Then you also have Baker Mayfield, who was another Heisman Trophy winner, had a lot of success during his time at Oklahoma. He was a two-time walk-on, was the former quarterback for Texas Tech under Cliff Kingsbury. He ended up having to transfer and walk on at Oklahoma, and he also won the Heisman Trophy for Lincoln Riley. Then you got Jalen Hurts, who had a pretty solid 2019 campaign under Lincoln Riley, mostly due to his success as a runner, but he also showed that he was a pretty improved passer as well, although having a couple of bad performances. But overall, Jalen Hurts will be drafted in this upcoming year's draft, and he will most likely be playing quarterback in the NFL. So Lincoln Riley has a really good, impressive track record when it comes to quarterbacks. Now, Dan Mullen, for a lot of you guys who don't know about Dan Mullen is the current head coach of the Florida Gators, and Dan Mullen, in this regard, that's the quarterback whisperer in college football. Now, he was the former head coach for Mississippi State during the time that Dak Prescott was playing quarterback for Mississippi State. And Dan Mullen has gotten a lot of quarterbacks into the NFL as well. Like Lincoln Riley, he's gotten guys like Tim Tebow into the NFL, Alex Smith into the NFL. So, I mean, Dan Mullen has had a lot of success with getting quarterbacks to the next level in the NFL, and I'm not surprised that he's on this list due to the fact that he was the former head coach for Mississippi State during the time that Dak Prescott was playing quarterback for Mississippi State. And the Dallas Cowboys, I mean, they have a lot of offensive-minded guys because they want to try to get the most out of Dak Prescott. They want Dak Prescott to succeed more than anything, and what better way to help Dak Prescott succeed than getting Dan Mullen, his former head coach when he was the quarterback for college, who he had a lot of success under of. I think that would be a pretty interesting hire if the Dallas Cowboys were to bring in Dan Mullen. Then you got Greg Roman, Matt Rule, Mike Zimmer. Matt Rule is a dark horse because he is right down the street from Dallas and Baylor, and he's been linked to more of the Carolina Panthers and the New York Giants, but I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up taking the Dallas Cowboys job as well. Now, the Dallas Cowboys job for him is a little bit out of what he is because he's more of a team builder. I don't really think the Dallas Cowboys will be a great fit for him, due to the fact that their roster is already built up and things like that. And Matt Rule isn't really nothing special. He's just a great team builder. Doesn't really have anything special on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. Brings in great staffs and things like that. Then you got Greg Roman, who is a little bit ahead of him. Greg Roman, offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens, has had a lot of success with mobile quarterbacks in the past. Colin Kaepernick, Tyrod Taylor, and now Lamar Jackson. So he could be pretty interesting as well. Then you got Mike Zimmer. Now, Mike Zimmer was the former defensive coordinator for the Cowboys. Well, not the former defensive coordinator, but he has history with the Dallas Cowboys a couple years back, pretty much a decade back. And he was linked to this job as well, but the Minnesota Vikings are reportedly interested in extending him. So pretty much he's a real big dark horse. Then you got Chris Peterson. Now, Chris Peterson is the former head coach for the Washington Huskies. Had a lot of success during his time as head coach of the Washington Huskies. And also, he was pretty good during his time when he was the head coach of Boise State as well. Then you got Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy and Dallas Cowboys defensive passing game coordinator Chris Richards. So that's the coaching rumors for the Dallas Cowboys. Really, I want to see the Dallas Cowboys get Lincoln Riley. I really want to see what his offense could do in the NFL and with Dak Prescott. And a lot of Oklahoma fans say that it's not really a big chance that Lincoln Riley takes the job. I think it is a chance that Lincoln Riley will mule over the offer and think about it, because this is a really talented team. This isn't like a bad team like the Giants or the Carolina Panthers. You're getting one of the best teams in the NFL roster-wise. I mean, you got Dak Prescott, top 15 quarterback. You got Ezekiel Elliott, one of the best halfbacks. You got Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup at the wide receiving position. You got the best offensive line in football. So, I mean, you also got a pretty good defense as well. So, I mean, you're not walking into a terrible situation if you were Lincoln Riley to become the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. So, now let's move on.